After the 2022 governorship election in Ekiti State, not much has been seen of you in the state. What happened?
Well, nothing. I've been around most of the time and observing what is going on and trying to network with the people, relate with the people, and then, of course, I also spend some time outside of the country trying to rebuild professionally.
So where exactly are you?
I have a consulting practice in Dubai. I have in Nigeria and I have in the United States. So I shuttle between those three places.
That must be really engaging.
It takes time to rebuild. I used to be a managing director of a global consulting firm. I'm in a global consulting firm, and part of my scope was Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. So it's a region that I'm familiar with, but I haven't been in Nigeria and in Ekiti for about 12, 13 years. So rebuilding is not that easy. So it's still in process.
When you say rebuilding, are you saying there was a time the business wasn't as good as you expected it to be?
Yes, of course. But I'm saying rebuilding because I have to now go back to clients, okay, to let them realize that I'm back as a consultant to help them. I had clients in Saudi Arabia, in United Arab Emirates, in Kenya, Egypt, all over, about 33 countries. So going back to them now to re-establish contacts and re-engage them. So that's what I refer to as rebuilding.
The rebuilding is necessary as a result of you being involved in the state at the time you were here.
Correct. You take time off and over time, new entrance into the consulting field while I'm here in Ekiti, trying to contribute to the development of Ekiti. And the clients have new consultants and advisors helping them, so re-establishing that contact and also presenting myself as a preferred choice of consultant takes a lot of work.
So how is it going?
Well, we're still in the process. So it's tough, but we're trying to distinguish ourselves as well. For example, we're thinking now of focusing on public sector, having served in the public sector in Nigeria and realizing the need of public sector for actuaries. So right now I'm trying to engage the public sector to help them see, for example, in the areas of workmen's compensation, social security, pensions, in the areas of even debt management, in the areas of, many times legislators are making decisions without data, without expert input, okay? So that's area that I'm trying to establish a niche so that our legislators can make decisions based on concrete data and projections, because many times they're constrained by what they see now. So we as actuaries are the ones to project into the future and quantify the impact now of the decisions that they're about to make. So it's a very critical area, even health insurance, okay? The healthcare industry, for example, in Nigeria, is in terrible shape, okay? And yet it's very critical, okay, to the well-being of the society, but there is no systematic pre-funding, okay, of health insurance costs. It's amazing. I don't know how Nigeria gets by, okay? Many times that you have to pay out of pocket for medical attention. It shouldn't be so, okay? You should be able to receive medical attention without paying out of pocket if there's a pre-plan, okay? So as actuaries, these are areas where we can help. And like Ekiti, for example, where you have a health insurance program that the only members in that program are people who are already in the risk category that you're trying to cover. For example, pregnant women, children below a certain age, they're already in a risk factor. You cannot call that insurance. So many times people don't understand that this is not insurance, this is a social program. And a social program will collapse if you have to fund it out of current budget. Many of these things governments don't understand. I mean, if you think of the concept of insurance, it's a pooling of risk. Okay, if I can pool the risk of 10,000 people who are healthy, who will never need insurance, okay, they're healthy, and people who are not so healthy, who will need insurance, you pool them together. The contribution they each make, when pulled together, will be enough to care for those among them that will need medical attention, okay? And thereby it will reduce the cost. But if in the program, the only people you have there are the aged and the pregnant women, and who is going to reduce that cost, okay, of their medical attention? You need the healthy lives to be in there. The insurance works because, yes, you are healthy today. You might need insurance tomorrow. You don't know. Okay? So you don't know which of those 10,000 people will actually need medical attention. Therefore, even the healthy lives are ready to chip in a little into that pool, similar to the unhealthy ones. Reality would determine who, at the end of the day, really will need attention. But by that time, the cost that all of them pulled together will be sufficient to meet the needs of those few. Okay? So you need to do MRI, you need to do CT scan, and you are asked to go and bring millions. That is a failure. It should never be.
Why is it that Nigeria and other parts of the country, the states, have been having government, and yet things don't appear to be improving for the ordinary people? Why? With all these plans and strategies that you spoke about, we're expecting that the structure of government should actually be based on such plans. How many people are here, what should be done for them, and money coming for government should be spread across different areas to make life easy for them. But we're seeing the government say, no, we can't do this, we can't do that, you take care of that, and responsibilities of government appears to be shrinking. Today now, it is getting worse and worse.
Yeah, and I can tell you because I have been on both sides, okay? I've been outside for decades, and I've been in Nigeria for well over a decade and a half as well. So I can tell you, one of our problems is that we are operating societies that are not based on functional principles, okay? Are we socialists? Are we capitalists, okay? You can hardly tell about Nigeria, for example, because if you are capitalist, okay, there are structures that you put in place to fuel that capitalism. If you're a socialist, okay, there's also a different sets of structures to fuel socialism. So we're in between. We don't really have a functioning principle to drive. And I say that because out of wrong motives, our government invariably have taken on more than they should, okay? And with corruption and all of that, they cannot bear the responsibilities.
When you say taking on more of what?
Too much, more of responsibilities, okay? There is no room left for the private sector, okay, to adequately step in. I just described to you health insurance. Okay, you go to a functioning society, there are levels. You go, for example, take Canada, okay? The health insurance program, that's what they call basic health insurance, okay? Where government funding is very heavy, okay? But there is extended health insurance where private sector, okay, take over. Okay, for example, if you're admitted into general ward, okay, that is basic, which means you don't have to pay out of pocket, the government will take care of it. But if you want a private ward, you would have bought, okay, that extended health benefit, which allows you to have some privileges, Okay, so you kind of stratify these things. But in Nigeria, everything is just muddled up. Okay, so we do not have an operating principle that drives the structure of government. Okay, there's so many things, for example, that you should leave to private sector, but create enabling environment. When I was commissioner here, for example, let's take the mineral sector. Okay, we invited some prospectors from Australia. Okay, because we claim we have all these minerals in Ekiti. Okay, they came here, okay, only to realize that the body, okay, the agency of government was both a regulator and operator. Okay, how can you do that? Which, at the end of the day, those guys left twice. They left with two sets of investors from Australia because they discovered that they have shared proprietary information with an agency that they thought was a regulator, only to realize that they are going to be competing against them with information they've shared with them. So many times we're confused about what philosophy should drive governance, okay, how should public sector operate side by side with the private sector, and how they can collaborate with one another for the good of the society. So we're confused.
Somebody said today in Ekiti State, if you go to local government at about 12 o'clock, you hardly find 30% of the workforce available. It looks like money is just being given to them for unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view about
Well, are you talking 12 noon or
12 noon?
12 noon? Well, actually, this is one of the absurd situation, and I don't know if this is exactly what you are describing. Okay, between 2014 and 2018, I was resident in Ekiti, just shortly after serving in the state government. And one of the things that saddens me is when I am driving out of town. For example, maybe Monday morning, I'm coming to Ado Ekiti, and I see young men, squatting around open shops and just gisting. Monday morning. These are able-bodied young people. It saddens me that we're wasting such resources and nobody seems to be paying attention. At a point, youth unemployment in Ekiti was around 70%. Okay? That means, we out of 10 people in Ekiti, 7, and even the 3 employed are either in civil service or teaching service. Okay? There's no private sector. Okay? So I marvel how our leaders don't really seem to pay attention to some of these issues and see them as their own report card. Okay, because a lot of times we can blame young people, oh, they lack ambition, they are lazy, they are this, they are that. We adults should see them as our report card. These young people they have a product. And we've created an environment where they don't even have a chance. In fact, you recall how I commend you tremendously for what you have done here, because our young people will not have access to the kind of training you're giving them here if you are not ready to domicile in Ekiti. Okay? And our young people were having problems competing for jobs in urban cities because they lack exposure. Okay? One late Remi Omotosho once shared a personal story. He was chairman of Cadbury, and he said after several years, they finally found an Ekiti person that a young person that have risen to the level, okay, of interview. Okay, and this young man has a first class. I don't know if it was in chemistry or something. Very impressive academic record. But to his shock, when this young man showed up at interview, he doesn't even know the name of his governor. So he was book smart, but completely ignorant of his environment. So you talk about exposure, okay? And these are areas that I expect our leadership to worry about.
2 years ago, you competed in an election in Ekiti State. The stage is warming up again when you observe activities on different political platforms. What is your own state of mind towards 2026?
Well, having experienced 2022, and even earlier than that with the APC primary, I've come to conclusion that Nigerians are not ready for good leadership. They're not. Nigerians are not ready. In fact, we're prone to self-sabotage. Okay, we need deliverance, but we don't want it. Okay, and therefore it would be difficult for somebody like myself to get back into that contest when I know that at the end of the day, the jury will vote for money. Okay, so I contested in 2022 as vigorously as I could, really to give Ekiti people an alternative. I know, okay, that they may not choose me, okay, but I wanted them to have a valid choice. And I must tell you that I cannot see them choose differently. Part of it is because the system, okay, has perpetrated a political order in Nigeria that have weaponized poverty, that have really kept people blind, okay, that have even used what the people deserve to appear as if, okay, it's favor, okay? So in that environment, I cannot see anything change in the short order. So I have concluded that Nigerians are not ready. They may be at some point, and that's why I'm looking forward to this autonomy of local government. That will be a radical development in the political life of Nigeria, if that will happen. But right now, I don't expect any change.
A member of the APC recently appeared in our studio and accused APC of not having internal democracy. You were in the party before now. You endorse this?
Well, actually, it's not new. Lack of internal democracy has been there for so long. And part of it is that many of the party members are not financial members, okay? None of the political parties in Nigeria, okay, actually require their members to contribute financially. And he who pays the piper dictates the tune. You cannot rely on a governor funding the operations of a party and allow party members to dictate. You cannot allow a godfather, okay, sponsoring candidates, and the candidate will turn against the godfather. Okay, so there cannot be internal democracy, because internal democracy requires that every member, they have equal voice. Where is the equal voice going to come from? There's no regular contribution by ward members. In fact, when ward meetings come, they're waiting for largesse from somebody, and they do not realize that the interest of that somebody would trump theirs. You know, so we need to change that. And in fact, this internal democracy in the US, for example, part of what they are doing now to weaken any overriding influence is to allow non-party members to vote in party primaries. Okay? I don't know if you're following me, okay? When, for example, you're using APC as an example, if people who are partyless, who are not members of any party, can register to vote in the primaries of APC, what ends up happening, okay, is that they are beholden to no godfather. So they're going to vote for candidates in the party based on merit, because you never know who these people are. So godfather cannot buy them, okay? And what then happens is that you will start having credible candidates in this party, so that when elections come around, you will be voting for credible candidates, not stooge of any godfather. It's happening now incrementally in the US, okay? If you follow the recent primaries of the Republicans, you know, you would have notice Nikki Haley getting so popular because of independents registering to vote in Republican primaries. I hope that will come into Nigeria, because I've observed that the electorate in Nigeria are left with very poor choices, okay? They are left with the choices of godfathers, regardless of the party, such that they end up having to choose the lesser evil among the lot that is offered them. We need to change that. We need to allow people to start influencing the candidates of political parties.
You are saying that the 2022 governorship election in Ekiti State its result was dictated by money.
Yes, of course. And that has been the story. I mean, both the primary and the election itself. I mean, look, unless we're going to lie to ourselves, we were all witnesses of what happened, that it's all money all the way. And of course, godfatherism at the primary level, and then money at the actual election. So it's been like that.
Do you see this ever changing?
Well, as I've said, if local governments can become autonomous, if the elections at local government become credible, and credible means it's not a SIEC appointed by the state government that is officiating. Even INEC is also not a saint. We know the election they conduct at federal level, but they are better suited for getting credible elections at local government level. If you can have that happen, if you can, as I described, non-party members vote in party primaries, okay, then things can change. But these things have to start at local government level. I have no hope whatsoever that Abuja, that positive change in Nigeria can start from Abuja. It's just impossible. Okay, I often liken Abuja to tying together multiple dogs. They will never agree in what direction to go.
Ekiti used to be known as a two-party state, but today it appears more like a one-party state as a result of the fraternization between the leadership of the PDP and APC. What is your view on this?
Your observation is correct, and it's unfortunate because that's undemocratic. So when people are talking about democracies, when you try to either annihilate opposition or let them, collapse into you, so that there's a one-party state. There's no democracy, and invariably there will be very poor governance. So it's the people that lose, okay, in that scenario. And I really don't know why people are so insecure, okay, that they would not stand up to constructive criticism that can only make them perform better. And again, that often betray that the motive, okay, for political leadership is not about governance.
Do you see the PDP as today succeeding in taking over their party from the leadership of Ayefaraji?
To be honest with you, I don't know enough about internal workings of PDP, but I must confess that PDP in the last national elections actually exceeded my expectation. Okay, so I cannot underestimate what PDP is able to accomplish, because they seem to have this unusual resilience. I mean, imagine the G5 with Wike, and imagine the exit of Peter Obi, imagine the exit of Kwakwaso, imagine the issues around what's his name, the presidential candidate, okay, Atiku, and yet PDP was within winning distance of that election. It reinforces how strong PDP is to be able to withstand all those. So I will not underestimate what they can do in Ekiti.
People of the Fountain.